It's Whiskey Wednesday on the Tipsy Theology Podcast.
Oh, yeah.
I like the energy you're bringing today, Paul.
We got some energy. Let's bring it down.
And down, down, down. Oh, too far.
Bring it up.
All right, we're ready. Here we go. So, we're still, we're trying something a little bit different. Paul's going to tell a story.
Before we started this, Trey was just saying how we're not going to... We don't need to explain that we're trying something
Paul,
different.
no need to explain things. We're going to get right into it. It's Whiskey Wednesday,
Too much
guys.
thinky, no feely. That's the motto of this podcast.
We're just really in this season of life where we're tired of all the thinky, and now we're into the feely.
We have a lot of drinky and a lot of thinky. Now we need a little drinky and a lot of feely. Which is weird because it should be the other way around.
we're gonna be feely and we're gonna be drinky, and we'll see where it goes. So,
and what are we drinking today?
We're drinking the cognac. It's the Deuce Cognac.
The Deuce Cognac. It's a VSOP. Very special old pale. I looked it up.
2 years of French taught me how to say that. Deuce.
And being 5 years old taught me to say that.
That's actually what I call my stepdad.
Do you really?
In a loving way. I love the guy.
What does it mean?
But he's dad number 2, so.
Oh, yeah,
Deuce.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Call him a Deuce.
Nothing wrong with that.
He loves it.
Is he a tennis player?
Anyways.
Here we go. So I'm sure you guys have been on pins and needles from the last episode. So we wanted to take some time. I wanted to tell a story, kind of something that I feel like God's been teaching me from this last season of my life.
Wait,
some things that have been going on.
Are you saying that you have an actual relationship with God?
Weird, right? You mean like we hang out? You may call it drinking at home alone. I call it prayer.
All right.
But anyway, yeah, so I'm going to start this with, I'm sorry, Thomas, a disclaimer. And it's basically saying I might be, this one's for you, Thomas. We're going to pour it out for you. I might be taking this verse wildly out of context. And
I would say it's a creative interpretation. That doesn't necessarily mean it's wrong.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, too. Like, did I do any research on like what the verse means, the context? No, not at all. Nothing.
A very Pentecostal approach. I appreciate that.
Right.
Here we go.
I went to 2 Pentecostal services.
And look at you now. You're interpreting the Bible in such a fun way.
I'm kind of, I'm pretty agreeable. So.
All right.
But so my story is actually going to be based around Proverbs 15:1. And it's a very familiar verse to a lot of people.
Never heard it.
It's a soft answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. So it seems pretty cut and dry. It seems like, oh, someone's being mean. I say something nice and they're not mean anymore. At least that's kind of how and again, this is totally philosophy here. Paulosophy. So it seems for me it was always pretty cut and dry, like, cool, that makes sense. But in real life, doesn't seem like that's really true.
Yeah.
It seems like more often what happens is if someone's being really mean, I say something nice, and they get more mean. They get more angry. Not all the time, but a lot of the time, that's what seems to happen.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't seem quite so like, hey, I say something nice and people aren't mean to me anymore. Because if that was the truth, all I'd have to do is say something nice and no one would be mean.
Yeah. So that hasn't worked well for you.
It hasn't worked well.
It hasn't worked well for me either.
Yeah.
'Cause I'm very slow to anger, not because I'm so holy, but just because I'm so passive. And anytime I respond to somebody's anger and like, hey, I hear you're concerned. Well, I don't care.
Dang it.
Well, that didn't work. Proverbs.
That didn't work.
Throw Proverbs out. It obviously doesn't
Thanks,
work.
Solomon. Wise guy, But yeah, so I wanted to tell this story about kind of how my view of that verse has changed a little bit.
Okay.
Not saying it's right. It's just the way I'm thinking about it right now.
Some experiential interpretation.
Yeah,
You've
exactly.
lived the scripture, and now you better understand it.
And I think a little differently about it.
Mhm.
So I don't want to dox anyone. I'm sure I could pull up a lot of different examples, but the one. So there's been something that happened recently. If you know, you know. A situation got a little crazy. You know, it started as miscommunication's a big problem for a lot of people. And yeah, stuff got a little heated. I ended up having to step in. It got a little physical. You know, there was like I'll venerate myself. Venerate, is that the right word? Liberate myself.
I'm cool with liberate. I
I don't know. I don't know. Basically, you know, I didn't swing at anybody, but it was more of a restraint kind of situation. It's like I'm gonna hold somebody back.
Okay.
And there was a lot of harsh words being thrown around, a lot of harsh words, and my response to that was not how my emotional, adrenaline fueled side would typically go of like, screw you. What happened instead, and you know, I think in light of everything that happened during that time too, it was very God, Holy Spirit definitely helped me out in this one a lot. Cheers to you, man. And so I think so. What happened with that was my response was to stay very calm and gentle during that. And what was weird is that my gentle words, my, you know, more restraint side, my not engaging, not reciprocating the harshness, the anger, it didn't result in the other person being less angry.
Yeah,
it resulted in them being
mad.
even more angry.
Yeah.
But the difference was I wasn't that angry, at least not at that moment. During that, I felt very calm and I felt very, you know, very gentle in my approach to this person. And so I was praying about it like a week later, and I had this thought of like, wait a second. So a gentle answer turns away wrath, but it was my wrath.
Wow.
So that's what I think about, and that's kind of how I've been thinking about this verse a little bit. Not saying it's right, not saying it's a proper interpretation, but my thought with that was like, what he's really saying? Is he really saying, it's a question, is he saying that a gentle answer to someone else when you engage with someone in a gentle way, in a positive, not a positive, yeah, I guess more of a positive way.
A positive, you know,
more calming, more like
controlled,
yeah,
you know, response, does it cease their wrath?
Yeah.
And experientially, I feel the same way. No, it doesn't.
Right.
Sometimes it makes it worse. But personally, our own wrath, it keeps us reserved and patient, and it sets our mindset to. It reminds us that, hey, we don't want to do wrath toward this person. We actually want a positive, unifying outcome.
Yeah.
But we can't control their response.
Right.
I think that it gives up control.
And that's kind of what it was. It's like, yeah, I'm showing, because I love this person. I don't want to cause harm to this person. So I'm going to show love to them. And you know, it made me less angry toward that person in that moment. Obviously, there was anger afterwards to a capacity, but it's like I'm not responding to this person in this way. And I thought that was interesting for me to think through that a lot differently than I would have.
Yeah, I wonder what the nature of these like arguments are. That because it's not always it's a certain type of argument that causes the other person to become more angry when when you choose to be more loving, but not always. I think there's some times where people are just wanting to be heard, and then when you choose to respond in a loving way, they feel heard, and that does actually resolve their wrath.
Yeah.
But I think what we're speaking about, and I think that's what the Proverbs seems to be talking about, is these kinds of people that you can't control their wrath. And so you have to decide, well, despite the fact that their wrath isn't going away, am I going to respond in a way that's going to keep my wrath suppressed and not come out in an ungodly way, an unloving way? So,
and his idea of like focus on the things you can control. You know, don't stress about those things you can't control. It's like I can't, like you said, I can't control how someone else responds to me. I can't, but I can control how I respond to that person. I think there is a level of like knee-jerk reaction, but you get to make a choice after that.
Yeah. It's just some people are just so resentful that the idea of love trying to pierce their heart makes them more resentful. And that's just sad. And those are just people we need to pray for. And I don't know how we can love them better, but try to. So,
yeah.
I liked your story.
Thank you.
Is it is it sad that for the first half of you telling that story, I thought you were referring to the end of our Inerrancy Part 2 episode?
I was wondering why you were laughing, too.
I was laughing very hard because I was like, this sounds like our argument we had on the podcast a couple weeks ago.
But no, I wasn't referring to that. But
good. That's good to hear.
But I would say the lesson I learned from what I was referring to, I think played a role in that. But it was more, I would say for me, it was more of like recognizing myself too. I wasn't definitely the one of totally above board in that. I was more angry at myself than anything else, I would say.
Yeah.
But
I felt the same way. Wrap us up, but read the verse one more time.
Sure.
I just kind of want to meditate on that verse.
A soft answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger.
Let me read it.
You read it.
A soft answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. Yeah. Who knows what that verse means? But
someone who studied it.
But as somebody who has lived the human life, I know when I approach somebody who is being angry and wrathful.
Yeah.
When I control myself and I respond in a soft way, in a way that is not harsh, that does not intend to hurt or put down, the wrath inside of me dissolves. And I think that's because in that moment when you've made that decision, you're also encountering the Christ. I think Jesus is in that moment because you've chosen to respond as he has chosen. And I think he just reminds you, dude, it's just not worth it. Well, if you don't have anything to add.
That's all I got.
Yeah, guys, thanks for joining us.
That's my story. I'm sticking to it.
For Paulosophy on Whiskey Wednesday. And if you liked, this kind of Whiskey Wednesday episode, let us know. If there's things you want to hear us talk about, let us know. Hit us up on our Instagram. Paul Yulee and Trey Hinkle. Look us up. It might be us. Just DM the first one you see.
It should be pretty easy to find. But yeah, thank you guys so much for listening and watching. However you manage to, if someone is explaining this to you after the fact, thanks for listening to their explanation of it. And thank you so much to Maximize Digital Media and Ann Yulee for producing this episode. And
we'll catch you on the next one.
Yeah, we will.